everyone. Love your enthusiasm. Life is all about successes and failures, right? Everyone keeps talking about it. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to talk about the success. I'm not here to talk about the failure as well. But I'm here to talk about the journey of it. You see, I'm a huge visual representative. I'm a designer, so after all, I talk through visuals. I'm going to take you through this talk through the visuals. You see the slide behind me right now, an illustration? That's how I look at life. I look at life as a kite that I'm flying. You see, there are a lot of other people around me flying their own kites. But you also see that everyone is at a different altitude. Everyone is starting off their journey with a different mountain. I consider those mountains as opportunities and privileges. And every kite flies in its own way because of that. Someone standing below won't face the same journey that someone standing above. They are with better opportunities maybe. And the length of the rope is something that I consider as the amount of efforts we put in. Everyone puts different efforts. Someone at the top of the mountain doesn't have to put the same efforts as someone at the bottom, right? It's different for each one of us. And now, I'm going to take you through my story through these visuals. That's me. You only see one person, right? What happened to others? I was self-obsessed. I couldn't see anyone else. That's me as a kid. I absolutely loved myself. Not just me, everyone around me loved me. I was the topper. I walked into a classroom and I aced it. I was good at extracurricular activities. I aced at art. I was a born artist. I did it all. Dance, debates, every single thing. I was so used to being loved by everyone, I never saw anything else around me. I was that kid that every parent compared their kids with. Everyone hated me, but hey, I loved myself. A little self-bragging, but wait until I start disappointing everyone around me. That's me. In my 8th standard, I decided that I want to get into IIT. Pretty much everyone's dream, right? A normal middle class family. You either get into a medical college or you end up taking IIT way advanced, start preparing for it. 5 years before the exam, I was preparing as if my exam was very next day. I used to wake up at 3 a.m. every day. I know, most of the aspirants do that, but I did it out of my choice. I was very, very ambitious. Still, everyone loved me. My teachers loved me. I used to solve maths problems way before my maths sir did. My parents were super proud of me. Came my 10th standard. I cleared the exam by being the topper of my school. There was a banner at the entrance. And my parents were really proud of me. They saw their kid at the banner of their school. How proud they must be. Wait until I start disappointing them. I cleared my 10th. Then came the most important decision of our lives, like most of you did as well. You see, my journey so far is pretty much like you all. IIT, medicine, it's pretty much same for all of us, right, at that age. But something really different, or again, very similar to most of us happened to me. My dad came to me one day, and he asked me, Keerthi, can you become a doctor? Now you see, I was preparing for IIT as if my exam was very next day for 3 solid years, and my dad comes and asks me, can you become a doctor for me? Guys, in a parallel universe where I listened to my dad, I would have been an alumni of a medical college as well, but I'm not. You'll see why. And you know what? I'm the best kid in the world, right? I always fulfill my parents' dream. They were always proud of me. How can I say no to them? I went ahead and I decided to pursue my dad's dream. I went ahead and took biology as my core subject. I was a very bright student. I could have cracked getting into any medical college, but that's not it. I got into my 11th standard and I was supposed to take a blood test. I was sick. I went to a doctor. You see, when you want to become something, you see that everywhere, and I saw this doctor walking and starting to take blood out of my hand. I freaked out. I realized I'm scared of blood, not in a usual way. I know, most of you would tell you kind of get used to it. In your first dissection, I know some of you must have fainted as well, but that's not the scare I'm talking about. That's the only thought I had in my head for 2 straight years. It's not like I stopped preparing for the entrance exam. I did. I prepared every single day. But contrary to everyone else around me, I was scared to get that seat. Everyone was thinking, what will I do if I don't get into a medical college? Here I was thinking, what will I do if I get into a medical college? Because I can't stand the sight of blood. I let that thought creep in. You see, I'm a few mountains down. I'm not as privileged as everyone else right now. Because I didn't start my preparation 5 years ago this time. And I was scared. My kite is not high as everyone else. I started looking at other kites as well. I'm kind of not so self-obsessed right now. And then came NEET exam. The deciding factor of your entire life for an 18-year-old. And no one imagined I would do that. But I went ahead and didn't give my exam. I didn't go for that exam, guys. I prepared for it for 5 straight years and I decided to take a good afternoon nap instead. I let the fear of blood creep in so much that I didn't face my life. I just can't sleep forever, right? I have to get out of that afternoon nap. I did. I woke up and I realized all my friends gave that exam in the best possible way. Most of them were sure that they'll get into this university, they're going to get into that university. A part of my friends already know that they cracked IIT. I didn't know what to do. I was lost. And for the first time ever, I entered a new world. A world of comparison. You see, so far, I was that kid that everyone compared themselves with. I was in my own world. I didn't know anything else existed. First time ever, I saw other kites. I saw that there are people putting more efforts. I'm not self-obsessed anymore. I'm scared. And I go ahead. I am the disappointment now. I see that my parents are, for the first time in their life, highly disappointed in me. They don't know what am I going to do with my life. I didn't have my entrance exam. I couldn't get into anything. So came the most haunting question for any one of us. What next? I decided to take an year off. I decided that I'm going to sit at home and figure out my life. While doing this, a part of me went back to my art. I was a born artist, I told you. I loved art. And I did something that none of you can ever imagine. Guess who decided my life? Google did. I went to Google and I asked them, what can an artsy person do with their life? And Google told me to pursue architecture. You see, Google was the best advisor I could have at that point. Everyone else hated me. I was a lost cause at that point. I did what Google told me. I even asked Google how to get into an architecture college, and I followed the exact same thing. At this point, I didn't even know what architecture was, frankly. I just didn't want to be a disappointment to my parents. I just wanted to do something and figure something out with my life. I went ahead, I did whatever Google asked me to do. I prepared for the entrance exam, and I did get into a really good university, RV College of Architecture, Bangalore. I went ahead, I took that seat. You see, I come from a middle class family. My dad couldn't afford paying a hefty amount for my admissions. So I had to get into there myself. I went ahead, I did that. 10 days or 20 days into my architecture journey, I realized this is not what I want. You see how patients keep Googling, I have headache, and there's this joke around, right, that Google tells that it's cancer. That's exactly what happened to me. Google was wrong. I shouldn't have listened to Google. I went ahead. I did it because I didn't have a choice. This time, I didn't want to be a bigger disappointment. I somehow finished my 5 years of course, and architecture as a course itself is as difficult as medicine. You all must be knowing how difficult it is for you all, and it's the same for us. It's a professional degree. I wouldn't say that I was a topper. I wouldn't say that my kite was always flying high. I was still comparing myself with everyone around me about their privileges. I was comparing about that one kid who already has their dad practicing architecture for them. All they had to do was just get out of the college and they have a firm. That's how my comparison was. I'm still pretty much there, not meeting my friends who are already into medical universities and IITs. And then came my graduation. I graduated, and this time I became a bigger disappointment to my parents. I decided to not practice architecture further. I didn't take a full-time job for it. And I decided to stay at home again because that wasn't my calling. I was this close to giving up. I was very close to deciding that, okay, maybe, having a career is not for me. And then COVID happened. I was sitting at home, like all of you. Everyone stayed at home, so I wasn't really pointed out at not doing anything. That's when another question arrived, what next? It keeps arising, right, at every point of our life, what next? And it's the most haunting question we all can ever ask ourselves. Everyone else was also asking me, what next? And I again went back to my art. My art was always my calling. I went back to it. This time, a little bit in a different way. I took my iPad out. If you are aware of the digital illustrations world, iPad can be the best device you can own. You only have to use it in a very, very smart way. I never used it. I had it for 2 solid years, but I never used it. But now I can tell you, my iPad is the best thing that has ever happened to me. It is the love of my life. And no, I'm not talking about my boyfriend. I'm actually talking about an electronic device. It is love of my life because it changed who I am as a person. Now imagine one electronic device entirely shaping your career. That's what happened to me. I pursued art, not for money. I pursued art for myself. You see, it was COVID. I was at home. No solid comparisons at this point. I was doing art every single day, no matter what came, until my Apple Pencil broke. It's not a huge deal, I know. You can buy one more. I come from a family that could have bought one more. But my father on the other side decided not to buy one because he wasn't happy with what I'm doing. What am I doing sitting in a room just drawing every day for what? He decided not to buy me one. Thank you so much, Dad, for doing that. Thanks for the tough love because I am who I am because he took that call. Now see, I went ahead and I borrowed money. I'm not giving up this time. I borrowed money from one of my friends who went into IIT. He's earning pretty good. What can we do? I went ahead, I borrowed that money, and this time I had to pay it back. I was in a debt for the first time in my life. And I don't want to misguide you saying it's a huge debt, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm going to do. But it is still a burden, right? I had to start earning money. And I went back to my art. This time, I used Instagram. I started posting every single day, no matter what. I was not just doing art, I was posting every single day. I made sure every single person knew I was doing art. One of my first clients is actually sitting in this audience because of that. Thank you so much, Surabhi. You see, that's the power of social media. It gave me money. I paid that debt off. Remember how I was one solo kid who was so proud and self-obsessed? I was not even that proud of myself, but I was so proud that I paid that 12,000 back. And I didn't stop there. I started putting myself out there every single day, and I got so many opportunities. One day I was a social media strategist. Another day I was a brand strategist. One day I was doing illustrations. Other day wedding decor design. I took up every opportunity that came my way. That's how I started Ikari. My first kid, it's a team of 15 right now, and it has 2 branches, and I never would have thought I can build a company out of social media and one Apple device. I did that. You see, in this throughout journey that I went through, there are multiple lessons. The first one that I realized is, it was not my parents who were constantly disappointed by me. It was not my teachers who were constantly proud of me. It was me. Those were my self-reflections. It's us who decide who you are. If you think you're a disappointment, you are one, is what I realized. I started off as a self-obsessed kid. I wanted to become an IITian. I was an IIT aspirant. My dad dreamt of me becoming a doctor. I pursued it as well in a way. But I didn't. I failed at it, but still I tried. And now, I'm a design entrepreneur. Proudly. Would I change a thing in this? No. It's the journey that made me come till here. It's the challenges that it put through that it made me come till here. So guys, all I can tell you is, never give up. Every single time a question what next arises, you will always find a way out. Don't run away from challenges. Take them. This is Keerthi Jeethuri signing off, taking one thing off a vision board today. Thank you so much, guys.